Chapter 1 Jason's Future. Jason, did you hear me? Are you working? Jason's mom, Sarah, heard only silence from his room. She sighed and decided to investigate. Standing outside his bedroom door for a moment, she finally pushed it open. Jason was sitting on the floor, surrounded by a sea of old photographs. What are you doing, Jason? She asked gently. Jason paused his music and looked up. Do you remember this? He handed her a faded photo. It's me when I was 5, with Jessica. She was so pretty back then. Well, she still is. It was my birthday party, wasn't it? Yes, I think so, his mom said, her voice softening. It was the last birthday before your dad left. Jason nodded slowly. I remember it so clearly. The party or the day dad left? His mom asked, her voice barely a whisper. Both, said Jason. In my mind, they blend together, like they happened on the same day. They didn't, but it all happened such a long time ago, his mom replied. She walked over to the window, turning her back so Jason couldn't see the sadness in her eyes. Stephen, her husband, had walked out of their house on Morland Road early one morning 12 years ago. He had left a short letter on the kitchen table, and then he was gone. For 12 years, there was nothing. No letters, no calls, not even a birthday card for Jason. Then, last week, the phone had rung. Why did you leave? She had asked Stephen, over and over. He wanted to meet. She had said no, but her heart had wanted to scream yes. Sarah turned away from the window's reflection. Jason, what about your homework? She said, trying to sound firm. Why are you looking at old photos? I'm gathering all the ones I have of Jessica. I want to take them with me to London, you know, when I start art school. He smiled, picking up a funny photo of Jessica at age 11. It's a bit early to be packing, Jason, his mom cautioned. You're not leaving until the fall, and you don't even know for sure if you've been accepted yet. I'll get in. I'm sure of it. When I visited them 2 weeks ago, they said my work was very good and that they really liked my ideas. I know, but anyway, where are you and Jessica going tonight? His mom asked, changing the subject. The Downbeat Club. There's a great reggae band playing, said Jason. Have you told her about moving away to art school in September? His mom asked. Yeah, she seems fine with it, I think, he replied. I can come home on the weekends. You won't, his mother began, then stopped herself. I know what you're thinking, said Jason, but we're different. We'll always be together. His mother left the room and went downstairs. Maybe Jason and Jessica are different, she thought. They had known each other since they started elementary school, but I thought Stephen and I were different, too. And look what happened to us. Mom, Jason called, walking into the kitchen. I'm heading over to Jessica's now. I'll grab a bite to eat at her place. Okay, have you finished your homework? His mom asked. Yes, stop asking. See you later, around midnight, okay? And with that, Jason was out the door before his mom could say another word. 5 minutes later, the phone rang. Sarah jumped, her heart pounding as she looked at the phone. Stephen. She picked it up. Hello, she said, her voice trembling slightly. Oh, hi, Mrs. Campbell. Is Jason there? It was Jessica. Sarah almost shouted her name in relief. No, sorry, he just left. He's on his way to your house right now. Oh no, said Jessica. Is there a problem? Sarah asked. No, yes. I can't go out with him tonight, but it's okay. I'll tell him when he gets here. Jessica answered quickly. Bye. Sarah sat back down, pouring herself a small glass of red wine. She replayed the brief conversation in her head. There was something odd in Jessica's voice, a strange tension. She hoped nothing was seriously wrong. Chapter 2 Nina's New Opportunity. Nina's week at the bank was finally over. She was at home at 48 Morland Road with her 6-year-old son, Max, who was happily munching on sausages and fries. I got a perfect score in math today, he announced proudly. Did you? That's fantastic, Nina replied, ruffling his hair. You're good with numbers, just like me. Is Dad at work? Asked Max. Yes, but he'll be home soon. He has the evening off, Nina replied. Her husband, David, worked as the head chef at Julie's, an expensive French restaurant. He worked long, grueling hours and often didn't get home until late. Oh good. Mom, can my friend Adam come to the soccer game with us tomorrow? Asked Max. Of course he can. Do you want to watch some TV after you finish eating? Nina wanted a few quiet moments to think before David came home, but she didn't get much time. 10 minutes later, she heard his keys in the door. Hi, Nina. David kissed her. Where's Max? Watching TV, said Nina. Hi, how was the restaurant today? Good. You know Dan, the new assistant in the kitchen? David asked. Well, one of my cooks was sick today, so Dan stepped in. And he was great. He has a French grandmother and remembers some of the dishes she used to make. He's got a ton of ideas for the new menu. Daddy, Daddy. Max shouted, running into the room. Hello, Tiger, said David, scooping him up. Let's go read a story, and then you can tell me all about your day. As father and son left the kitchen, Nina could hear Max's excited chatter. He was so happy to see his dad. A wave of guilt washed over her. Why do I want to change things? She thought. She prepared dinner for herself and David. Ready to eat? She asked when David returned to the kitchen. There's something I need to talk to you about. I'm not sure I like the sound of that. Is it serious? He asked. The director from head office visited the bank today. He told me I was manager of the month, Nina said. Well done. Does that mean you're getting a raise? David laughed. In a way, yes. He offered me the manager position in Newcastle. It's a huge branch, about 5 times the size of the one here. Nina paused, watching David's face for a reaction. So yes, a lot more money. Ah, was all David said. A few seconds later, he asked, and what did you say? I told him I was interested, Nina answered. I also said I needed to talk to you first. What do you think? First thought, said David, standing up to get a glass of water, is congratulations. You work incredibly hard, and I'm proud of you. Second thought, what about my job? Third thought, Newcastle is so far away from here. I've been thinking about all that too, said Nina. She crossed the kitchen and wrapped her arms around him. And what about Max? He loves his school and all his friends. And we have to consider my mom and dad. David continued. I know they live in Exeter, but it's only 100 kilometers from Bath. We see them pretty often. They could move with us. I'm sure they'd be happy in Newcastle. Your mom was born near there, wasn't she? Nina was searching for any good reason to justify the move. She really wanted this new job. Yes, but they have their whole circle of friends here now. They love living in Exeter, David answered. It's a huge upheaval to move at their age. Forget about them for a minute. What about you? Asked Nina. Well, you know I love working at Julie's, David replied. We've built up a great reputation, especially since that newspaper article. It's an exciting time, and I really don't want to leave. Of course, I'm sorry the restaurant isn't mine, but we don't have the money to buy it, so I really want to say yes, David, Nina pleaded. I think this is just the beginning. Maybe in a few years I could become a regional manager. And after that, who knows? Then we could buy 2 restaurants. Slow down, said David with a smile. We haven't even decided about this yet. When does the job start? In 3 months, replied Nina. David, we're still young. It could be an exciting adventure to start over in a new city. True, replied David slowly. When do you have to give the bank an answer? Well, they want a decision by the beginning of next week, Nina said. Say yes, then, said David quickly. What? Nina stared at him, unable to believe her ears. Well, we can't buy Julie's, which is what I'd really love to do, David answered. But I can find another job in a good restaurant in Newcastle. And your work is important. I know how much you love it. Oh, David, you're wonderful. I'm so glad I married you, Nina laughed. I'm going to write to head office and tell them yes before you can change your mind. David pulled Nina close and kissed her. I hope we're doing the right thing, he said softly. Anyway, now I'm going to take a long, hot bath and think about all this. And then I have to call Mom and Dad. I haven't spoken to them all week. Don't tell them about Newcastle just yet, said Nina. Let's keep it our secret for the weekend. Nina sat at the table and wrote her acceptance letter. Then she walked down Morland Road and dropped it in the post box on the corner. She heard the soft plop as it landed on the other letters inside. We've made our decision, she thought. Nothing can change it now. Chapter 3 Dinner at Maggie's. Maggie was curled up on her sofa, a photograph held loosely in her hand. Her mind was miles away, back in Chile, just last month. She and her friend Brooke had spent 3 incredible weeks trekking through the Andes Mountains. It had been a wonderful time. Well, she thought, correcting herself, I'm not sure the holiday was as wonderful for Brooke as it was for me. She looked at the photo, a happy group of young hikers, smiling because the day's long walk was over. They were also thrilled because that was the day they had seen a condor. The majestic bird, famous in the Andes, had soared high above them, circling in the sky for hours. Maggie had felt a pang of sadness watching it disappear at the end of the day. It's a very sacred bird for the Inca people, you know, Mateo, their group leader, had explained. On many old Inca buildings, you can see a unique cross. It's unusual because it has 3 levels. Mateo drew the shape in the dirt. For the Incas, each level represented a different world. The lower world, this world, and the higher world. And there was an animal for each one. The higher world belonged to the condor. So you see, these birds were very special, very important. The group had listened, fascinated by Mateo's stories. Brooke, however, had been more interested in Mateo himself. From day one, Maggie knew that Brooke had a crush on him. He was handsome and friendly with everyone. Brooke talked about him constantly to Maggie, analyzing everything he said to her, describing how she felt. This is exactly what she was like back in school, thought Maggie. I hope I don't have to listen to this for the entire trip. At the end of the first week, Maggie went for a solitary walk after dinner. She didn't go far, just wanting a moment of peace under the vast, starry sky. As she stood looking up, she sensed someone behind her. She turned around to see Mateo. Are you okay, Maggie? He asked. Fine, she replied. It's beautiful here, isn't it? I love the mountains. It's so different from where I'm from. I was born near here, so I love it too, Mateo said. They sat and talked for a long time. She learned about his life, about the lives of ordinary people in Chile. From that day forward, a special friendship grew between them. They often talked together after dinner, and something more than friendship began to blossom. And of course, Brooke noticed. It's okay, Maggie, really, Brooke had said. I don't mind. But Maggie felt that she did mind. Sometimes, she caught Brooke looking at her with a cold expression, but by the end of the holiday, things seemed to be okay between them, and Brooke even said she wanted to go on another holiday with Maggie again. Maggie rose slowly from the sofa. She had enjoyed daydreaming about her time in Chile, but she had to start making dinner. Brooke was coming over tonight. She walked into the kitchen and began preparing the meat for the lasagna. Oh, I forgot to buy tomatoes, she thought. Grabbing her purse, she left the house and walked quickly to the shop at the end of the street. Inside her empty house, the phone rang. Nobody answered and the call went to voicemail. Hi, this is Maggie. Sorry I'm not here to take your call, but please leave your name and number and I'll call you back later. Thanks. There was a faint noise on the other end of the line, as if someone was preparing to speak, but the person hung up without leaving a message. Maggie returned with the tomatoes and saw the blinking message light on her phone. Probably Brooke, she thought. Maybe she's running late. Maggie played the message, but there was only silence. Strange, she thought. She went back to the kitchen to finish the lasagna, then poured herself a glass of red wine and returned to the living room. She picked up the phone and checked the caller ID. Telephone number 07788536782 called today at 1900 hours, a recorded voice announced. Maggie jotted down the number. I don't know anyone with that mobile number. Just then, she heard someone at the front door. It was Brooke. Hi, Maggie said as Brooke gave her a kiss. Something smells delicious. They walked into the living room, and Maggie handed Brooke a glass of wine. It's good to see you, said Maggie. You look great. I love your hair. Thanks. And how's the handsome Mateo? Asked Brooke. Have you heard from him? Yeah, I have, said Maggie. I got an email last week. He was at an internet cafe in Santiago. Great. I thought it was just a holiday romance, but I'm really pleased for you. No, really. I am, Brooke said quickly, noticing Maggie's scrutinizing gaze. He says he's coming to England very soon, maybe next week, said Maggie. Really? So soon? It must be love, said Brooke with a smile. Well, I don't know about that. Maggie laughed. He doesn't mention anything about love. Just that he's coming and that he's written me a letter to tell me everything. Everything about what? Brooke asked. I don't know. It's a bit of a strange email. Look, you can read it. Maggie handed the printout to Brooke. She read, Hi Condor Girl, I'm coming to England very soon. I need to get away from Chile for a bit. Have written to tell you everything. Can't say much now. Looking forward to seeing you a lot. Much love, Mateo. Chapter 4 Sam's Money Problems. Sam pulled up to his house, number 56. Lights blazed from every window, and he could see his 16-year-old daughter, Emma, silhouetted against the glow of her computer screen in her bedroom. Stepping inside, Sam dropped his bag with a heavy sigh. Wonderful, he thought with a hint of sarcasm. No more work until Monday. Sam worked for the local newspaper, the Bath Chronicle. He was a reporter, but not a particularly important one. He generally liked his job, but the pay was meager. When he had started at the newspaper 20 years ago, he had grand ambitions. He planned to work there for a few years and then move to London to join one of the major national papers. But time slipped by, and he never left. Sam still wrote about the ordinary lives of the people in Bath. Occasionally, a big story would break, and everyone on the paper would have to work together. For a short time, it would feel exciting again. Hannah, where are you? Called Sam. Upstairs with Alicia. A voice replied. Sam went upstairs and found his wife, Hannah, in the bathroom. 2-year-old Alicia was happily splashing in the bath with a fleet of yellow plastic ducks. Hello, my favorite two girls, said Sam, kissing them both. I heard that, Dad, called Emma from her room. What about me? I thought I was your favorite. That was yesterday, when you made me a cup of tea, Sam joked as he walked into his older daughter's room. Emma was focused on something on the internet. I'm trying to find some information about Chile for my geography teacher, said Emma, turning to give her father a kiss. Go and ask Maggie. She just got back from Chile, her father suggested. No, it's okay. I'll find it online. It's faster. Besides, she probably doesn't know much about the Mapuche Indians. Dad, you know how much I love geography, don't you? Asked Emma. Yes, replied her father. Well, our teacher wants to take us on a trip to Norway after school ends for the summer. She told us about it today. It sounds amazing. Can I go? Emma looked at her father, her eyes shining with excitement. It'll be expensive, won't it? Asked Sam. I'm not sure, replied Emma, though she knew it wasn't cheap. There's the money I got for my birthday. We can use that. Yes, but that's not nearly enough for a trip to Norway. I'll talk to your mom about it, said Sam, leaving the room with a familiar weight settling in his stomach. Money. Sam found Hannah in their bedroom. Alicia was nearly asleep, so Sam kissed her goodnight. How much does Emma need for Norway? He asked Hannah as they walked downstairs. A lot. About £700, I think, and she has to let her teacher know on Monday if she's going, replied Hannah. She really wants to go, Sam. I know. I'll try to find the money from somewhere. Sam walked out into the back garden for a cigarette. Hannah sat at the kitchen table, reading the newspaper. When Sam came back in, she looked up and said, I could get a job, Sam, but I really want to stay home with Alicia for a little while longer. I know, and that's fine, said Sam. I'll ask Jeremy to lend us some money. I hate doing it, but I've done it before. His older brother, Jeremy, had a high-paying job in the tech world, a world where no one seemed to worry about not having enough money. Jeremy was driven. Some people thought he was ruthless, not just driven. Every job he took was a step up from the last. He thrived on challenges and was restless when life was too quiet or easy. He was a doer, not a thinker. His wife was the same. They both worked hard and played hard. It's a good thing they don't have children, thought Sam, because there's no room for them in their lives. Jeremy didn't understand how expensive children were, and Sam detested asking his brother for money. He could feel Jeremy's pity for his younger brother. Why don't you get a better job, Sam? Jeremy always asked. You're intelligent. You could do anything. I like my job, Sam would reply. I don't want to work anywhere else. That wasn't entirely true, but he could never let Jeremy know that. This was the same conversation Sam and Jeremy had on the phone that Friday evening. But then, it changed. I'm sorry, Sam, but I'm not going to lend you the money, said Jeremy. Pardon? Said Sam, stunned. No money this time. You need to start thinking about your career. Get a job that pays more. You've got to change, Sam. Every time you need money, you come to me. Well, I think it's become too easy for you. Jeremy stopped talking. Sam hung up the phone. His head was pounding. He couldn't believe it. His own brother wouldn't help him. His own brother spoke to him like that, making him feel small and worthless. Sam walked back into the kitchen. What did he say? Asked Hannah. It's fine, said Sam, avoiding her gaze. He'll lend us the money, so Emma can go to Norway. I know how difficult it is for you to ask, so thank you, my love, said Hannah, kissing him. Sam didn't look at his wife. He just went to find Emma. Chapter 5. Jason and Jessica. Jessica opened her front door, and Jason stepped inside. Hi, he said, leaning in to kiss her. She cupped his face in her hands, her gaze intense as she looked at him for a few long seconds. What are you looking at? Have I got something on my face? Jason asked, trying for another kiss. No, I just wanted to look at you. You've got a lovely face, replied Jessica, then turned and walked into the living room. Are you okay? Asked Jason, following her. I haven't seen much of you this week. I'm fine, replied Jessica. Then she turned to face him. She saw the boy who was her best friend, the person she loved, but she knew she was about to shatter his world. Jason, sit down. I need to talk to you, said Jessica, taking his hand. There's no easy way to say this, but I've met someone else. What do you mean, met someone else? For a moment, Jason didn't comprehend. Then the color drained from his face. When I was on holiday with my family in France over New Year's, I met a man. This was the hardest part, and I think I'm in love with him. You said you love me. Jason's voice was loud and sharp. I did. I do love you, but maybe more like a brother. What I feel for Francois is different. Maria looked at Jason, her eyes pleading. Oh, Jason, I'm so sorry. I never wanted this to happen. You don't love him, said Jason desperately. It was just a holiday fling. How can you fall in love with someone else? Have you heard from him since the trip? Have you seen him? Does he say he loves you? Yes, he loves me too, Jessica answered quietly. We've been emailing each other every day, and he came to London last week for a few days. I saw him then, when you stayed at your sister's. You told me your sister just wanted to spend some time with you, said Jason, the pieces clicking together painfully. So that was a lie, wasn't it? Jason stared at Jessica, disbelief warring with a sickening certainty. When we finish school this summer, I'm going to Paris to study. Francois is studying there right now, Jessica said, unable to look at him. You thought of everything, haven't you? When did you decide all this? Jason asked, his voice raw. Jessica didn't reply. Jason stood up and put on his coat. I'm leaving. I can't stay here. It hurts just to look at you. Will you be all right? Asked Jessica. I don't know. And anyway, that's not your problem anymore, is it? replied Jason angrily. Jason, please don't, said Jessica. Don't go. We need to talk more. But Jason was already running out the front door. He ran and ran until his lungs burned and he couldn't run anymore. The anger had faded, replaced by a deep, hollow sadness. He started to walk slowly home, hoping his mother was out. He didn't want to talk to anyone. When he reached his house, he saw the lights were on. He tried to open the door quietly, but it creaked loudly. Is that you, Jason? Called his mother from the living room. Yes, he replied. She appeared at the doorway of the living room. Why are you back so early? I'll tell you tomorrow, replied Jason. I'm just going up to my room. Please, can you come into the living room for a moment? His mother said. Do I have to? Asked Jason. Yes, his mother replied firmly. Jason followed his mother into the living room and saw a man sitting on the sofa. Jason, his mother said, this is your father, Stephen. Jason stared at the man and said nothing. Stephen said nothing either, unable to meet his son's eyes. After a long, tense minute, Jason said coldly, so, where have you been for the last 12 years? His father began. It's complicated, but let me try to explain what happened. But Jason couldn't handle any more revelations that evening. For the second time that night, he fled from a house. He went down to the river and sat on a bench, staring at the dark, swirling water. He felt completely lost. Everything had changed. Jessica loved someone else. A strange man, someone he had once called Dad, was sitting in his house. Jason felt like he was losing his mind. The air was cold and a light rain began to fall, but he just sat there, looking at the river. For a fleeting moment he thought about jumping into the water, letting it carry him away. Who would miss me? Nobody, he thought. But deep down, he knew that wasn't true. He reached into his pocket and found a pack of cigarettes. He lit one, stood up, and turned his back on the river. For hours he wandered the streets of Bath. The rain fell harder, soaking him through. At about 3 in the morning, he found himself outside the city's mail depot. It was a hive of activity, with large vans arriving and unloading bags of letters. Jason stood outside the gate, watching the bags being carried into the building. For a little while, he stopped thinking about his problems. One of the workers shouted to him, Hey, mate, you all right? Looking for a job or something? Jason didn't answer. A voice called out from inside, Harry, tea's ready. Leave those bags and come and get it. The large gate slid open to let the next van in. On impulse, Jason followed it, slipping in behind the vehicle. The man at the gate was too busy reading his newspaper to notice. The driver got out of the van and went inside. Suddenly, Jason was alone in the depot yard. He wanted to get out of the rain, so he climbed into the back of the van and sat down among the bags of letters. It was dry and surprisingly comfortable. He smoked his last cigarette and then closed his eyes. He woke up a short time later to the sound of men laughing inside the building. For a moment, he was disoriented. Then he remembered. He knew he had to go home and talk to his mother. And then there was his father. Jason was angry with him, but a part of him wanted to know why he was back. And I definitely don't want anyone to find me in this van, he thought. He jumped out and hid in the shadows, waiting for the gate to open again. When it did, he sprinted out. A voice yelled behind him, Hey, you, stop. But he didn't stop. He ran, his head pounding, his clothes cold and heavy. There was only one thing left in his life that felt good, that felt real. The thought of going away to art school in the fall. It was more important than ever that he hear from the London Art School soon. Chapter 6. Nina and David talk. David lay in the bathtub, the warm water doing little to soothe his troubled mind. He thought about Nina's new job, about uprooting their whole lives and moving to Newcastle. He loved his work at Julie's and was genuinely sad at the thought of leaving. And Max was so happy at his school. But Nina was important, too. David knew she was brilliant at her job. He got out of the bath, dried off, and put on his jeans and a blue sweater. He peeked into Max's bedroom. His son was fast asleep. David sat on the edge of his bed for a few minutes, then leaned over, gave him a soft kiss. turned off the light, and quietly left the room. Just going to call Mom and Dad, David called out to Nina. Okay, remember, don't say anything about my new job, said Nina. No, I won't, replied David. He dialed his father's number. Hi, Dad, are you okay? Fine, replied his father. Your mother and I had a lovely walk by the sea this afternoon. Anyway, it's good you called. We wanted to tell you there's something in the post for you, for your birthday on Tuesday. It's meant to be a surprise, I know, but I hope it's a good one. That sounds intriguing, said David. Are you going to give me any more clues? No, you'll have to wait. Let me just get your mother. I know she wants to speak to you, his father said. Joan, his father shouted. It's David on the phone. Coming. David heard his mother's voice, and then he heard her whisper to his father, Have you told him? The answer was no. Hello, David, said his mother. Are we going to see you soon? Can you come down next weekend? Yes, on Sunday, said David. We can't make it on Saturday because I'm working, but Sunday will be fine. Oh, good, replied his mother happily. We want to see our lovely grandson again. We're so lucky that you live nearby so we can see him so often. David mumbled something in agreement, but his mind was racing. How can we possibly tell them that we're taking him hundreds of miles away to Newcastle? I'll put your father back on. I know he wants to tell you something about the garden, his mother said. See you all next Sunday. Bye, Mom. David then listened patiently as his father talked animatedly about some new plans he had for his garden. David could hear the excitement in his voice. His father was only truly happy when he was outdoors, working with his hands. At the end of the conversation, his father said again, I really hope our surprise for your birthday is what you want. I'll call you as soon as I get it, replied David. Bye for now, Dad. David hung up the phone and walked into the living room. Everything okay? Asked Nina. Yes, fine, said David. I said we'd go down to see them next Sunday for the day. That's all right, isn't it? Of course. Nina saw the troubled look on David's face. Mom mentioned how much she loved having Max so close, said David, and I just felt terrible. They're getting older, and they'll be heartbroken when we tell them about Newcastle. Oh, David, I know, but they'll want us to do what's right for our family, replied Nina. But now I'm not so sure if this is the right thing anymore, said David quietly. They talked for hours, circling back to the same questions again and again. Is it right for us to go to Newcastle? Should we ask your parents to move with us? Should we forget about the new job and stay in Bath? A new idea emerged. Maybe David and Max could stay in Bath, and Nina could commute to Newcastle for the week, coming home on weekends. But how could David manage looking after Max and working his demanding restaurant hours? In the end, after hours of debate, they arrived at the same conclusion as before. The whole family would move to Newcastle in June. It'll be okay, won't it? Asked Nina, seeking reassurance. I hope so, love, replied David. I really hope so. Chapter 7 Maggie's Visitor. Brooke handed Mateo's email back to Maggie. That's very strange, she said. Maybe he's done something wrong. Perhaps the police are after him or something. No, not Mateo, said Maggie defensively. Why not? Brooke countered. I mean, we were only in Chile for 3 weeks. How well do we really know him? Have you had any other emails or letters from him? Yes, an earlier email, but it didn't say anything about coming to England, replied Maggie. Oh, well, there's nothing you can do then. Just wait for the letter and hope it's not bad news, said Brooke. I just remembered something. Do you mind if I make a quick phone call? Asked Maggie. Someone called me just before you got here, but they didn't leave a message. Go ahead, said Brooke. I'll just pop into the kitchen. No, it's no problem, answered Maggie. Stay here. I'll only be a minute. Then we can eat. Maggie dialed the mobile number from her caller ID. Hello, said a foreign voice. It was a man. Oh, hello, said Maggie. You called this number earlier. Bath 726,549. Who is this? I'm sorry, answered the man. It was a wrong number. Oh, okay. Bye then, said Maggie, and hung up. Wrong number, Maggie said, turning to Brooke, someone with a Spanish-sounding voice. I think from Chile, perhaps, asked Brooke. Maybe, said Maggie. Anyway, it's not important. Let's go into the kitchen and eat. Maggie and Brooke ate the lasagna, looking at photos from their holiday and laughing at shared memories. Suddenly, there was a noise from the living room, and they both jumped. It's okay, Maggie laughed. It's just the window. When it's windy, it always makes that sound. But then there was another, different noise. Someone was at the front door. What a strange time to call, said Maggie. She walked to the front door. When she opened it, she saw a man. Yes, she asked. Can I help you? Are you Maggie Cox? Asked the man. Yes, answered Maggie. And who? But she didn't get to finish her question. The man pushed past her into the house and closed the door behind him. Excuse me, said Maggie angrily. What are you doing? Who are you? Brooke heard her shouting and rushed out of the kitchen. Sit down, both of you, said the man quietly. I don't want to hurt you. Brooke and Maggie sat huddled together on the sofa. I'm looking for a friend of yours, Mateo Santos, said the man. He's not here, said Maggie and Brooke in unison. Who are you? Asked Maggie. Let's just say I'm a friend of the Santos family, answered the man. I know he's in England and I need to talk to him. I haven't heard from him since we got back from Chile, said Maggie quickly. Really? Said the man. He walked around the room, his eyes scanning everything. Postcards from friends, the phone bill on top of the TV. Then Maggie's heart sank. She remembered Mateo's email. It was on the table right next to her. It was too late to hide it. The man saw it. So, this is from another Mateo, is it? Where is the letter he talks about in this email? Asked the man. I haven't received it yet, said Maggie. She was terrified, and she could feel Brooke trembling beside her. She didn't understand what this man was doing in her house. How did you know where I live? Asked Maggie. I found your address at Mateo's home, said the man. And your photograph. Did you have a good time in my country, Maggie? Maggie didn't answer his question. Instead, she asked one of her own, though a part of her was afraid to know the answer. Why are you looking for Mateo? He has something that belongs to me, said the man. But maybe he gave it to you to bring back to England. The man stepped towards Maggie, standing uncomfortably close. He didn't give me anything, said Maggie, her voice shaking. Maybe he didn't, but I know that Mateo will come here soon, and when he does, I'll be ready for him. The man looked hard at Maggie. You made a bad choice, Maggie, when you chose Mateo, said the man. He's not the right kind of man for a nice girl like you. He moved away. Remember, Maggie, I'll be back. As soon as the man left, Brooke and Maggie jumped up. You have to call the police, Maggie, said Brooke. This is terrifying. You have to come home with me. You're not safe here. Maggie called the police and told them everything. I'm not staying here tonight, she told them. I'm going to stay with a friend. You can reach me on my mobile, 0477 6567 831. The police asked her to come to the station the next day to make a formal statement. Maggie quickly packed a bag, ready to leave with Brooke. I'm so stupid, said Maggie. I thought Mateo was genuinely nice. I believed he cared about me, but he was just using me. Maggie and Brooke called a taxi and left Morland Road half an hour later. Chapter 8. What Sam didn't know. How am I going to find £700? Thought Sam that Friday evening. And why didn't I just tell Hannah the truth about Jeremy? But it was too late now. Emma was going to Norway. That's so great, Dad. Thank you, she had said, throwing her arms around him. Seeing her so happy had given Sam a fleeting moment of joy, quickly overshadowed by dread. I know what I'll have to do, thought Sam sadly. On Monday morning, I'll take some of the jewelry my mother gave me before she died. There's a jeweler's shop on the way to work. I'm sure they'll be interested in buying diamond rings. Sam didn't want to sell the jewelry. He knew his mother had wanted Emma to have it one day. Maybe my brother is right, he thought. I do need a job with better pay. I don't know how much longer we can go on like this. That same Friday morning, 600 kilometers away in the city of Edinburgh, something significant happened that could change Sam's life. But Sam knew nothing about it. Two people, a man and a woman, arrived at the offices of the law firm Barrett, Grab, and Lennox. A clerk escorted the two visitors upstairs to the office of Frank Barrett. It was a very old-fashioned room, filled with large, dark wood furniture. Hundreds of leather-bound law books lined the walls. "Good morning," said Mr. Barrett to the visitors. "It's Paul and Sonia Cooper, isn't it? Please, sit down." "Thank you," said Sonia, sitting down next to her brother, Paul. "I'm very sorry about your father," said Mr. Barrett. "We handled his business affairs for many years." "Thank you," said Paul. "He was 91 when he passed away. But now, we need to know what he decided to do with his money and his estate." "Paul," said Sonia, "that sounds awful." "It's quite all right," said Mr. Barrett. "Let me tell you what he wrote in his will." Mr. Barrett didn't always enjoy reading a will to a family. Sometimes they contained unpleasant surprises. "I leave my house and all of its contents to my two children, Paul and Sonia. My money I give to my grandchildren, Robert, Amy, and Charlie." Paul and Sonia looked pleased. He continued, "But not all of it." Their smiles faded slightly. "I wish to leave a portion of my money to a special person who was a dear friend to me in my life, Samuel Davies. About 30 years ago, when my wife passed away, Sam lived next door to me. He was a young man then, but he spent many hours with me during that difficult time. He would visit me most days and just listen as I talked about my wife. He was a true friend. I have never forgotten his kindness. I want to say thank you to him by giving him £50,000. A few minutes later, Mr. Barrett finished reading the will, and the office fell silent. Then Paul Cooper spoke. "Samuel Davies is a lucky man. £50,000 is a lot of money just for talking to Dad." And Sonia added, "I don't even remember him." "Well, that's what Dad wanted to do, and it was his money, so that's that. We can't change it. But how much will be left for the grandchildren, for Paul's children?" "I'm not sure yet. We'll have to wait and see," said Mr. Barrett. "We have to notify Samuel Davies. It could take some time, you know. The address your father gave us could be outdated. But I will write to you as soon as I have any news." "But if you can't find him, what happens to the money?" asked Sonia. "Oh, I'm sure we'll find him. It might take months, but we usually find people in the end," replied Mr. Barrett. Paul and Sonia left the lawyer's office quietly. Mr. Barrett handed some papers to his secretary, and she typed up a letter to Samuel Davies. At lunchtime, she took the letter to the post office. As she dropped it in the post box, she thought, "Lucky Samuel Davies. What's he going to do with £50,000? Back in Bath that Friday evening, of course, Sam had no idea about Mr. Cooper or his inheritance. He went to bed miserable. Was it right to sell his mother's jewelry? And what kind of job could a man his age get that would pay any better? Chapter 9. Fire. At 3:30 on the morning of Saturday, the 15th of March, a small fire started in a van parked at the back of the mail depot in Bath. At first, no one saw it, as everyone was inside the building. Then, someone smelled smoke and shouted, "Fire!" Another person ran outside and saw the flames. Someone else called the fire service. They tried to extinguish the fire themselves, but it was spreading too quickly. The fire service arrived promptly and put out the fire, but 2 large bags of letters were destroyed. In those bags were 4 very important letters addressed to people living on Morland Road, St. Martin's School of Art, Charing Cross Road, London W18XA. Jason Campbell, 12 Morland Road, Bath BA65LZ. March 13th. Dear Jason, thank you for visiting us last week. We were very impressed with your work and believe you are the kind of student who will thrive here at our college. We are very pleased to offer you a place here starting in September. As you know, many students wish to attend this art school, so it is important that you reply to us promptly. Please tick the box below and return this letter to the above address by March 25th. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Yours sincerely, Neil Parker, course tutor. Yes, I can take a place on the art course starting in September. No, I cannot take a place on the art course starting in September. 120 Wharf Road, Exeter, March 13th. Dear David, first of all, happy birthday. We hope you have a truly lovely day. We've been thinking about our future and what we want to do with our money. We have enough for ourselves, so we've decided to spend some of it. We know how hard you work at Julie's, and we know that you've always dreamed of it being yours. So, we've bought it for you. We met with Jean-Pierre last month and agreed on a price. Yesterday, we heard that it is now officially ours. Well, yours, actually. We both know that you're going to make the restaurant better than ever. Can we come for dinner on your first big night? Lots of love to our wonderful son, Mom and Dad. Santiago, March 6th. Dear Maggie, I hope you received my email, and I hope this letter won't make you angry. I am coming to England because I must leave Chile. I haven't done anything wrong, but my brother has. He's involved with some bad people. My brother has disappeared. Nobody knows where he is. His friends think I have some of his papers, but I don't. So, I want to come to England to get away from all these problems. Maybe I can get a job and stay there for a while. Also, I want to see you. I think we are at the beginning of an exciting time together. I will be with you very soon. Until then, please believe me that I have done nothing wrong. Please email me and tell me it's okay for me to come. Lots of love and kisses, Mateo, Barrett, Grab, and Lennox, 34 Queen Street, Edinburgh, A23XJ. Samuel Davies, 56 Morland Road, Bath, BA65LX. March 14th. Dear Mr. Davies, we are writing to you regarding the estate of Mr. Thomas Cooper, who has sadly passed away. Mr. Cooper has remembered you in his will, and we would be grateful if you could write to this office at your earliest convenience. Yours sincerely, Frank Barrett. Conclusion. And what happened to Jason, David, and Nina, Maggie, and the Davies family? Jason went to stay with his grandmother for 2 weeks. She looked after him, and he slowly began to feel better about himself. When he returned to Bath, he was disappointed that there was still no letter from the art school in London. He eventually called the school, but it was too late. They told him he could have a place the following year. For a year, Jason stayed in Bath, working a series of different jobs. Stephen, his father, visited the house sometimes, and Jason began, slowly and cautiously, to get to know him. Nina's acceptance letter to the head office of the bank arrived safely. David never received the letter from his parents, but his mom and dad called him on his birthday and told him about the restaurant. It was the best birthday present in the world. Nina decided to take the job in Newcastle and commute home on the weekends. They were fortunate because David's niece came to study at Bath University. She lived with them and looked after Max, but it wasn't easy for the family. David wanted Nina to come home and work with him in the restaurant, but she stayed at the bank in Newcastle for 18 months. Then, she was offered the job of area manager in Bristol, a city just 25 kilometers from Bath, and finally returned. Maggie never heard from the mysterious Chilean visitor again. She also never heard from Mateo again, and he never arrived in England. Maggie was heartbroken. She truly believed that she and Mateo had something special. It was difficult for her. She wanted to believe he was a good person, but all her friends told her to forget him. Sometimes she considered going back to Chile to find him, but in the end, she didn't. She decided that, for him, it had probably just been a holiday romance after all. Sam sold his mother's jewelry and gave Emma the money for her trip. A few days later, he had another difficult conversation with his brother. After that, he decided to leave his job at the newspaper and try to write a book. He worked from home so he could also look after Alicia. At first, the change was strange for him, but slowly he began to enjoy his new life. It was exciting to write, and Alicia was an easy child. Hannah found a good job in a shop, which she enjoyed. They were still short of money, but one day, about 3 months later, he received a letter. It was from Barrett, Grab, and Lennox. Life began to look a lot better for Sam and his family.